Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of Box Seats. And you know what we do up here? We talk sports with comics, a couple of comedians. They give you the funny. And speaking of comedians, we got here right now two of the comedians who hold the show down. We got Talent and we got Fig. You all already know these dudes. I've been introducing them every day for the last week and a half. Def Comedy Jam, and of course, they do comedy all across the country. And they do acting and all that other stuff. But I'm interested in the sports. So let's get the sports topped off right now. Talent, Dallas got beat so bad last night. I took an L. I took an L. So let me ask you, do you think, because yesterday on the show you said Dallas is not going to win another game, and you stood by that and everything else. I mean, right now, I guess it's the craziest of questions to even ask you. Are you going to still stick by that? Say they're not going to win another game because sometimes NBA players they take the beating like that, they get embarrassed, and they were embarrassed. 154 points were scored on them last night.
Well, let me explain something to you. First of all, I stick by what I'm going to say. First of all, and you got to realize. Remember, we sat through 3 games of wondering what happened to Paul George. Now, Paul George came out and said he ain't gonna lie. He said, "Man, I was fighting depression and anxiety, and this bubble thing had me bugging out." He said, but people were speaking to me. They stood in my corner. They talked to me at work. I feel better. I'm in a happy place. So happy, it's happy to be nappy. He's going to be smacking these dudes all over the gym now. He was the Paul George we knew last night.
Right, he was. Hey, Fig, what happened to Luka? Luka disappeared, man. What happened?
Hey, Luka didn't disappear. They crushed him. He got smacked. Mars stepped on the back of his foot. They was pushing him and throwing elbows and stuff like that. They was slapping Luka around. That's what it was. It really is, man. Let me tell you something. They dropped 154 points on Luka's neck. You understand what I'm saying? Because he hit that 3-pointer. You know what I'm telling you something? As soon as he hit that 3-pointer, I was like, okay, this is when it's going to begin right here, because you hit that 3-pointer and y'all was celebrating like they won the NBA championship, and you saw the look on the Clippers' face, like they wasn't like, dejected, with their head down. They was like, all right, I see you. So y'all got something to celebrate. I got you. I said, y'all want to celebrate. All right. Let's see what happened next game. Happened next game.
That's what happens. But that's how you make all-stars. You know how you make an all-star? Like they already could ball. And then you say, okay, you got game. You could ball. Let's throw some doubles and triple teams out. You know what I mean? Now, can you ball? You can ball, but can you ball? That's how all-stars are made.
Yeah. Hey, so Talent, you mentioned a little bit about depression, that PG was handling and everything else. Do you think there's more to the being in the bubble than that we, outside watching the games and everything? Do you think there's more to it than what we even assumed or we thought? Because according to what Paul George said, I was reading between the lines and saying maybe him and several of those teams were more affected than we actually thought. What you think?
Well, I think that it takes a special dude. I mean, Fig will tell you this from being comedians that have been on the road for almost 30 years. That everybody can't handle the road. Mm-hmm. I know cats like, I'll go out on a schedule, and to me, if it's like a day off in between gigging, it don't make sense for me to try to come home for that one day and go back out that next day. I stay out there, thug it out that extra day here, that extra day there. So to round it off best I can. I know cats that couldn't even do that. Like they get out there, they do 2 days, they got that one day. I'm gonna go back to the crib. For what? You got to get right back 2 more. Yeah, but I'm gonna go and I'm gonna come back. And then they're wondering towards the end of the week or the end of 2 weeks why they so drained and tired and jet lagged. Dude, you're killing your body. So I think in there, you keep in mind these people these ain't old men yet. These are young men. No matter if they got 10 years in the game in the league, they still young men. So this is different for them. To sit still, you ain't getting up, you ain't getting no plane, you ain't getting a change of scenery, you can't go and come like you used to. This is that anxiety and that depression, I think that's real for them.
Okay. Vic, what you think?
Yeah, man, I think it could be a possibility of 2 things, because it's not only the men that's in the bubble, it's the WNBA. So what they could be suffering from, not only depression, it could be the lack of nookie or the lack of Nikki, depending on whether you male or female. You see what Sweet Lou did. He went right to a different kind of bubble. And that's the guy, he went to see a different bubble and get some wings and enjoy himself while he was making it rain.
Mm-hmm. Fair to say, fair to say. Hey, I want to ask you guys about a couple of things. One, I want to talk about the Pacers firing Nate McMillan. But before I jump into that, the thing that bothered me yesterday was that, not slightly a little bit, Giannis got named Defensive Player of the Year. And then, of course, all these people are talking about whether or not it really well and everything. And then people are trying to, how sports talk people, they always jump into who deserves what and who is basically should be the defensive player of the year. So let me start off this question by asking Talent. Do you think Giannis was rightfully crowned the defensive player of the year or not?
Well, here's the thing. With Giannis, you could go either way. You could have gave him the MVP or the defensive player. The fact that I give you the defensive player means I'm reserving probably that for somebody else. So how could you argue if a man is in the running, he argumentatively could be the most valuable player of the season? At his size, half of that is defense. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? He's not a point guard just dropping 30 a game. You go, hey, MVP. No, he's a big man swatting your stuff out the gym that his defense is part of his overall most valuable playerness. So I think if they gave it to him, I don't see an argument whose D is better than his.
Good point.
Him and the other guy who they're playing on Portland, they're the 1 and 2 in shot blocking.
That's true.
Yeah, Whiteside. Him and Whiteside 1 and 2 in shot blocking.
Right. Okay. So who would you say, Vic? Is it right? Was he right?
Listen, I got to give it to you because I give it to Giannis because not only does he block shots, he can go. He literally, like another people get, you hit hyperbole. Hell, he can guard 1 through 5. Man, you say that about most guys, they really can't. But Giannis can. He has the mobility and the athleticism to be able to guard 1 through 5. He blocks shots. He gets steals. He gets rebounds. And his team got the best record in the NBA. So you got it. It's hard to argue with those kind of stats. And my thing is, a lot of people throw out stats. I'm like, listen, everybody got stats. You can make up a stat to say anything. You say numbers don't lie. Yes, they do. If your stats don't end up to wins, as far as I'm concerned, they empty. I don't care how many assists you get, how many points you get, rebounds, all that. If y'all lose, I don't care about your stats.
Okay.
And Giannis is winning.
Okay. So since we're talking about crowns and everything else, and they're getting ready to crown people and everything else, who is the MVP of the league? Talent, who you think is?
See now, if that's the case, I probably would go with my boy Dame. Between Dame and the only one you can argue with Dame to me is you got to stay West Coast and go to I would have gave it to Giannis, but since they didn't, I would say I'll drop down to maybe LeBron or Dame.
Okay, all right. Fig, who's the MVP of the league right now?
They didn't crown the MVP yet, right?
No, they didn't. That's why I'm asking you. Who do you think is the MVP?
Listen, I'm gonna tell you something, man. To me, before the bubble, it's kind of hard to make an argument for Dame because they wasn't even in the playoffs before the bubble.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but you got to realize we got to the bubble still regular season.
Right.
So all that's included, yeah.
Right. You can include all and everything else, but you can't.
Also, they're including the bubble too? Okay.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, they're including both.
I can see that. But you know what? For me, the most MVP is the dude who is most valuable to his team. And to me, if you got the reason I can't give it to LeBron is because he's not even leading all the stats in his team. Now they winning, but Anthony Davis is leading more stats on LA than LeBron. Giannis is kind of the dude that is leading all the stats. His team is winning. I gotta give it to Giannis, man, because just because of the wins and all of the stuff that he contributes to his team, and then he doesn't have another bona fide superstar on his team like Anthony Davis. Like there's no Twin Towers in Milwaukee. There's no other dude in Milwaukee that you could say, oh yeah, that's a top 5, top 10
They got
dude.
3 towers. What do you mean Twin Towers?
Well, they got
3
towers. Yeah, but I'm talking about, they ain't got a top 5. Like nobody's putting the Lopez brothers in top 5, top 10.
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know what I mean? In the NBA, they just not. You get not even Middleton.
Obviously, you never been to Puerto Rico.
You said this ain't the Puerto Rican League, man. It's the NBA.
All right, so since we're doing comparisons and everything else, before we jump into Nate McMillan and everything, because I'm waiting for the coach to come on, I want to ask you all these questions too. And after we hear what Mr. Brunson got to say, but let me just ask you this: since we do compare, who's more valuable to his team? Would it be LeBron to the Lakers, or would it be a PG to the Clippers, Paul George to the Clippers?
Who you asking, me or talent?
Let's go with talent first.
Well, I mean, it's a little obvious. I think that LeBron, and the reason I say LeBron is because of how he facilitates for the team.
Mm-hmm.
His positioning and facilitating. He took it upon himself to change his position to become actually the facilitator instead of playing off the ball. LeBron's played guard this year.
Mm-hmm.
And he's become more of the facilitator. So, yes, he has a 2 to his 1-2 punch in there with another superstar like Anthony Davis, but he's actually facilitating the ball to everybody all the time that he's on the floor. Now, Paul George is not that guy. He's sitting off the ball waiting for somebody to create and give it to him half the time.
Okay.
So, obviously, LeBron.
So, Fig, who's more valuable to his team, Paul George or Kawhi Leonard? Same team.
Oh, it's definitely Kawhi Leonard.
Okay.
Definitely Kawhi Leonard, because Kawhi is the one that really makes that whole thing go. You know what I mean? When Paul George was in his slump for the 3 games, what did he score? He hit maybe 10 3-pointers or something like that for like over a 3-game period. And the Clippers were still doing well. I mean, they lost a buzzer beater, but they were still, for the most part, I think that was a fluke, and they were still doing well. You know what I mean? Without PG right now, it would be harder, but I still think the Clippers have enough to make that team go. Okay, you know what I mean? Without Paul George.
Before we bring in the coach, because we know coach is getting ready to come up and everything else, Nate McMillan got fired for Indiana Pacers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Indiana was too hasty in firing him? Because let's be honest, they haven't had everybody working all the time. Do you think they were too hasty? Or what you think, Tad? Because you're already laughing. So
yeah, I'm laughing because Fig's reaction was like it was his man. He was like, dang. You said, and the funny thing is I just read it like within the last hour or so, but apparently Fig didn't really. Fig said, he said, it just my name with me. Damn.
So now, do you think they reacted too fast? How do you think,
I just think Indiana's in a real confused place. Okay. I think that, how we talk about coaching and where, getting Mark Jackson a job and back in the coaching realm and all that. I wouldn't touch Indiana with a 10-foot pole.
Okay. All right.
I think they're in that, what do you call it? They're in purgatory. They're in basketball purgatory right now. And that means you're not going to heaven. You're not on earth. You're just in the middle of this realm sitting there. And I think that's the mentality there right now. So whether you're the coach, whether the play, all this stuff, they don't know. Mm-hmm. They don't know right now. They really on some, I would give them until the trade deadline next year to figure out, okay, this is what we're going to do. They don't know right now. So I think it's not surprising. I think it's bad because I like Nate McMillan. He's a decent coach, but I wasn't surprised.
Fig, you got 60 seconds. What do you think?
Man, first off, I'm gonna say like this. I'm disappointed that they fired him because I'm not sure he's in a position. Like I always like a coach to be able to buy the groceries. I like to be able to pick. If I got to coach the team and my behind and my job is on the line, I like to be able to pick the players that I have on my team. And like Tyler said, they in purgatory because they don't have the pieces to win, and they not bad enough that they could go into the lottery and get somebody to help them out. So they are literally in hell. They either one or two things. They either can make a big trade and get somebody to help out Oladipo and no surrounding players, or they could just blow the whole thing up and start from scratch like Philadelphia.
Well, since we're talking about coaches and everything else, let's bring in another coach, former NBA player, of course.
New York, baby.
New York Knicks, baby.
My New York Orange, baby. I got my New York Orange.
Let's go.
Mr. Rick Brunson, of course, he used to play for the New York Knicks, used to be an NBA player, played for 9 seasons, and now is an assistant coach for several teams. Mr. Brunson, Thank you for joining the show. I appreciate you. I got to ask you the same question I just asked those two gentlemen because, you know, the whole thing is Nate just got fired. You know, that wasn't even a big question I was going to ask you to start out, but Nate just got fired. And being an assistant coach, were they too hasty? It seems like he never had all the groceries working at the same time.
Yeah, so I was listening to your conversation, and I would say this, like in this business and things that I kind of know a little bit, it's like if Nate was shopping for the groceries, which first of all, Nate is a great coach, then everyone would get fired. Everything's about keeping your job stability. So if you're shopping for the grocery as a general manager, you can blame the coach for saying, hey, he's not paying those guys right. So you can get another year or 2 years on your deal, bring in a new coach. So that's just how everyone's just trying to keep their job, and that's how the business works. So sometimes it's not about winning, it's about job security.
Okay. Well, let's now the question I was going to ask you to start out the show, and then I'm gonna jump to talent and Fig. Question I was going to ask you is, when you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, I know you're ex-Knick. When you look at the Philadelphia 76ers, are you we are kind of distraught at how the coaching goes there because Joel Embiid is not playing the way he should play. We all say he should play on the box and everything else. Do you get disgusted? Because we do. You know, I mean, you're an NBA player, you're an NBA coach. Do you get disgusted when you see a player like that, 7 feet tall, 280, seem like he could be a Shaq and not blowing guys out the box? Now, I'm saying that as a Celtics fan. Let me just put that out there. I'm a Celtics fan, and he still ain't balling like he should be balling. But go ahead. How do you, when you're as a coach, what do you think when you see him play?
I mean, first of all, I mean, obviously, I live in the Philadelphia area. I'm a big Sixers fan as well as I'm a Knicks fan. But as a coach, I mean, I've been around NBA players. I played, I coach, and we could tell a guy what to do. But in the NBA, if you think you're something different than what the coach is telling you, then and you're a superstar, you're gonna do what you want to do. And the game has changed. Like 7 foot, 7'2", 200 pounds. He wants to shoot threes because he could do it. I mean, as a coach, was you going to scream on him? You're trying to say, I just said this last time, job security. It's a players' league. So you try to navigate through all that stuff, try to get him on a box, and then give him a little leeway to shoot threes. But Joel is a terrific player. But it's been 7 years with Brett. Brett did a great job. He had his run. Whether they won or lost, I mean, it's just time for a new voice. That's just how it works. You get hired to get fired. That's just the way it goes.
Talent, you know what they were right there about a year ago, right there, in the
playoffs. Why?
Why were they there?
One name.
Simmons?
Benson.
Butler.
Dang.
Jimmy Butler.
Oh, man.
That was the one that they should have held on to.
No, in Philadelphia, we was rooting for Jimmy Butler. I mean, I'm a big Jimmy Butler fan.
Yeah.
He's a winner. Okay. You take him off Chicago, no playoff. Take him off Minnesota, no playoff. You take him off Philly, he's got swept.
Right.
At some point, you got a conversation that Jimmy has something to do with it.
And Miami is doing well.
Yeah. I mean, is Miami more talented than Philly? I don't see a Joel Embiid down there.
But I think Jimmy Butler's a proven. We talked about this a couple of shows ago. Jimmy Butler's a proven assassin, man. It ain't a lot of killer instinct left in the NBA. Let's face it. We can count on both hands all the players and all the teams. We can just use our hands right here, and we'll come up with the killers and the assassins. Jimmy Butler's good old-fashioned assassin. You know what I mean? And the fact that you got Philly, like you said, Fig, you right there, and you got to make some changes. How the hell is that the change you make?
Yeah, that was a bad move. I got another question for you. Listen, is there a coach, even in today's age, with the cachet that could get a player like a Joel Embiid to do what it is to make the team better? I'm talking about maybe like a Doc Rivers, a Popovich, Phil Jackson back in the day, somebody with that kind of cachet that can galvanize the team and get these players to play in a position that would better help the team to win.
Definitely, there's a whole handful of them. But the problem you come across is the coaches that you're talking about, they got jobs, or the flip side of it, if you go get those guys, that coach is going to expose your job as a general manager. So
let me ask you this: which coach? Who do you think that doesn't have a job? A coach right now that could be available that would have the cachet to be able to do something like that?
I mean, right off the top of my head, Mark Jackson, Ty
Yeah.
Lue, those two guys for sure. David Yeager, the guy who was in Sacramento, he's well respected. At the end of the day, these guys, NBA players, they want to respect the coach. If you know what you're talking about, they're gonna do what you tell them to do. If they see any weakness or you BSing or you're full of it, it ain't gonna work.
So speaking of BS and everything else, what would you do with the New York Knicks? Being that you're an ex-Knick, would you walk in there right now and BS is what we hear coming out of the locker room and everything else. I know you're an ex-Knick player, everything else, so you kind of got to be careful what you're going to say. But I'm asking you, it's just us here. We only lie.
Well, I would say this: like they hired I don't know if you guys know the story, just so you understand what's going on. Leon Rose, I was his first client.
Okay.
As an agent. Leon Rose is more than family to me.
Okay.
Wes is like my brother, and then Tom Thibodeau. Not only will he coach me, I work for him. In my opinion, is one of the top 3 coaches in the game today. So they made the best hire, in my opinion. Was it the people's choice? Probably not. But as a basketball, I will bet my house in 2-3 years they'll be in the playoffs. It may not. I'm not. Oh yeah, because they're gonna play defense. They're gonna compete. They're gonna play unselfish. They're gonna put a good product on the floor. Now, in order to win, you need talent. But
thank you.
Think about this. He went to Minnesota. He went to Minnesota, who haven't been in the playoffs in 15 years.
Right.
And put them in the playoffs 2 years in a row. Did they go to playoffs last year? So it took him a year. He was there for 1 year. We didn't make the playoffs. The following year, made the trade for Jimmy Butler. Got 2 years in the playoffs. I mean, he went to Chicago. Youngest MVP. Joakim Noah was 4th in MVP voting. Luol Deng, All-Star. Jimmy Butler was a 30th pick, didn't play. All-Star. I mean, I could just go down the line. The guy just knows how to coach and knows how to get the best out of him. But the most important thing is every player, from a superstar to the guy on the bench, respected him. And once you have that, the guy's gonna work for you.
Man, you just sold me on tips.
Y'all can stop all this. They're gonna ball in New York.
That's first of all, Fig must be sitting in front of a thesaurus or a dictionary or something. Today he used cachet and galvanized in the same sentence. I don't know what that's about, but I think you got him excited, Rick. But here's the thing. Let me ask you a question. This rumor started floating in the last 24, 36 hours because of the team. We're talking about a team with talent and running out of time because the Nets lost a year this year. They're looking at it like they lost a year between the double injuries of their 2-star players. They're fishing for Popovich. What is your thought on the Popovich Brooklyn Nets team?
I just heard the same thing you guys heard. Again, I'm a fan like you guys. I mean, obviously you get a guy like that. I mean, well respected. But at the end of the day, though, as a player, you have to do your job. We got to stop blaming coaches. You have to go to work every day and punch in.
Well, I said they got to be accountable.
You got to stop saying I'm getting a rest day. Like I heard you guys talking about the Clippers. I'm a big Doc fan. I love the Clippers, but to me, you can't just turn. It ain't a light switch. You can't turn on, turn off. That's why I'm not betting on the Clippers.
Right.
All year is LeBron James comes to work every day. Giannis comes to work every day.
Right.
So I'll put my money on those two teams.
But here's my thing.
Really?
I'm torn on it. I'm torn on the whole Popovich thing because it's a double-edged sword for me. In one case, I love loyalty, right? So I'm from the old school NBA fandom where we love to see somebody rock out their whole joint with a team. That's loyalty, right? But given the stakes, like you said earlier, is a players' league, and watching how the league has done coaches over the last decade, I'm happy that Pop is in a position, like a player, where he could say, you know what? I'm good over here. I'm done here. I'm going to go start a new legacy over here. He had that option, I don't know about anybody else, but I'm happy for Pop that he got that option.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
but he ain't. Pop ain't leaving. Just get y'all. That's all. That shit sound good.
What about his cash pay?
What Brooklyn got y'all doing is looking over here. They're gonna hire somebody over here.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I hope it's Mark Jackson. It's New York.
Yeah.
Well, Rick, I just want to ask you a couple more questions before we get ready to roll out to the next segment and everything else. And I also want to talk to you personally. On a personal level, I hear your son is doing much work. I want to ask you how good is he doing and how things are going on with you and your family. And I also want to ask you what you got up next coming up and everything else. Can you talk to us about that before we roll on?
Yeah. Well, as you know, I don't know if you guys are aware, but Jalen obviously is in Dallas, but he has shoulder surgery right after All-Star break. Yeah, he dislocated his shoulder in the game, and so he's 5 months into surgery. He's healthy. He's working out healthy. Obviously, he wish he was playing, in a bubble, but he probably has like another month before he can have contact, and he'd be straight ready to go for next season. But he's doing good, man. He's healthy. Got no complaints. And as far as me, we had a great year this year. I'm the head coach at Camden High School, the legendary Camden High School. Milt Wagner, DeJuan Wagner. Now I have the little one, DJ, who's the number one player in the country in his class.
Really?
DJ Wagner, number one player in the country. He's going to be a rising sophomore. So,
and he's a sophomore?
He's rising. So he just finished his freshman year. We went 29-1. First time in 20 years that a public school was ranked number one in the state. So we had a chance to win the whole thing, but obviously with all this crazy stuff, it shut down. They shut down right before we got to the semifinals. Okay.
Well, before you roll up out of here, I just want to ask you one last question, man. Who you got winning the entire thing, especially from your perspective being a coach? Who you got in the Eastern coming out of the East? You got coming out of the West, and who's winning the whole thing?
I got you from Boston, right?
Yeah, I'm from Boston. And say what you got to say, bro.
Unfortunately.
No.
Yes.
No, I mean, I'm a big Kemba fan, but I'm gonna go Milwaukee. I'm gonna stay in Milwaukee because there's no home court advantage.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then I can't. I know everyone's a hater and want to bet against LB. I can't, man. LeBron just. I got to roll with LeBron, man. I'm just. I mean.
So Milwaukee.
I'm gonna go with LeBron. Two is a no. I'm gonna ride out with LeBron.
You hear that? Y'all? You hear that?
Yeah, I hear it. I'm like, I can't believe my ears, man. I'm like, oh my God.
Hey, remember LeBron gets better as the playoff goes longer.
Yeah, he does.
But now listen, he gotta play a lot of games before they get to that point, though.
So does other teams.
Yeah, but ain't nobody the stars on the other teams ain't 35. He's 35.
Nobody get to skip the process.
Right, hold on. It's like the Clippers going to jump to the final. They're in a dogfight right now. They got to win tomorrow.
And that's what happened when you galvanize and stuff too much. Too much cachet, too much galvanizing. You forget they all got to keep playing.
That's man, but they're younger and they're deeper.
Hold on. Deeper. I see a lot of guys in suits over there. They're not playing.
Ooh.
We're in the Clippers?
Patrick Beverley hasn't played in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You can't turn it on and turn it off, baby.
That's true.
Okay, all right.
So the key, listen, you might be right, but the key to beating the Lakers is starting an argument with Rondo. That's your key.
Yeah.
When Rondo get back, you put somebody on him, start an argument, you win.
Oh, I know that person.
If Anthony Davis starts going, y'all can forget about it, man. I'm telling you. Y'all keep thinking like if he get going and as the playoffs go longer, guys get better.
Yeah,
that's true. I'm not fully bought in on AD, and I'm gonna tell you why. He said something himself that kind of looks like how he resembles how he plays. He said when he was on the other team where he came from, he said nothing was expected. So he balled out a lot crazier. He said, but coming to where pressure is, constant pressure with the Lakers and expected, he finds himself less consistent and dipping out. You get those low Anthony games, those high Anthony games, back and forth. So I think consistency is going to win this thing.
For sure. No, I totally agree. And if you just take talent alone, like you act like LeBron James and AD is not like top level talent. Like
they
35 or not, there's top level talent out. Just like
top
the Clippers got
five.
Okay.
They got
all right.
so, but it's gonna be.
I think they jinxed themselves by not putting a slogan on their joint though.
What are you talking about?
On the back of the jersey, I think that might be a jinx. You know,
Who did?
They had the option of putting one of the like Black Lives Matter.
No, the only person
say her name. They don't have them. They opted out of that, right?
No.
Now,
just LeBron, right?
No, both of them. And let me tell you this:
yeah.
Anthony Davis and LeBron. And let me tell you this: the Boston Celtics had a meeting. Who they face next, Frank?
Toronto.
Okay, so they had a meeting. They're thinking about boycotting Game 1 because of what just happened with the shooting. So let's see what happens with that too. That might have.
Yeah, and we'd like to bring you back, Rick. We'd like to bring you back and talk about that. But before you roll on to the next segment, can you tell everybody out there how we can follow you and just pay attention to what you're doing if you're even on social media?
Yeah.
I told you to email me this. Tell them I don't know anything about computers.
Right, that's what I figured.
I don't have no Twitter.
No, you good.
I'm old, man.
I had to be fair.
Hey, I play with Pat Ewing. He ain't got no Twitter handle, do he?
I had to be fair, Rick. I had to be fair. But Rick, thank you for taking the time, man. We greatly appreciate that. We greatly appreciate you. Best of luck to you, and best of luck to you and your family, man. And thank you for joining the show.
Hey, let me do it for him, Frank. You can find my boy Rick Brunson at Camden High School racking up them wins. How about that, Coach? Love you, baby. Nothing we can do about that.
Let's go next.
Thanks, Rick. Appreciate you. All right, y'all. Y'all heard it there. So, that's Rick Brunson, former NBA player, former coach. He laid it out on the line what he thought about, obviously the Lakers, and laid it out on the line on what he thought about the NBA playoffs and everything else, which is really surprising hearing it from a person who played in the league. Wouldn't you say that talent? Does that like blow your mind? Because he plays in the league. He coaches.
Well, he did say one thing that we kind of skip over, and sometimes we may or may not think about, is he did make a point when he said, listen, I got to go with LeBron. And his thing was LeBron gets stronger and better as the playoffs go on. And I'm like, you know what? That's true.
That's true.
That is true. Like, so when we see early LeBron, like, oh, LeBron could get it. If you really look back to all his playoff runs and his championship runs, he does get acclimated is the word. He gets acclimated to whatever series he's in. And the more games it goes, you start to see vintage LeBron.
Right. That's true, man. Unless we can convince somebody to turn up the heat in the bubble and then he starts cramping.
All you gotta do is pick a fight with Rondo. I'm telling you,
bro. I listen. I'm a Celtics fan. I used to watch that happen all the time. I saw them collapse a couple of times because here we go. We get ready to argue.
Rondo is a loose cannon, man. I swear.
Here we go. Rondo getting ready to argue and ready to take the whole thing to a whole different conversation and everything else. But anyway. Speaking of different conversations, things we want to talk about, we always have a comic now coming on and joining the show. So we want to bring in another comic, and we got to bring in one of Philly's best, comedian Ray. How you doing there, brother? How's everything?
What's good with y'all, man? How y'all?
Yeah, thank you for joining the show. We appreciate
Ray, what up, player?
Good. Should I turn my phone sideways or something? Maybe I should turn my phone sideways. That's what it is.
There you go.
There you go.
That's good. Yeah.
You've been listening to the conversation too, Ray, right? You've been listening to it? Okay, so who you got winning the East, who you got winning the West, and who you got taking the whole thing? Let's jump right there, start out right there before we get into the playoffs.
Well, Kerry Champion, formerly at ESPN, said it best. LeBron's the commissioner, so that's coming out of the West. He ain't go down there and take that league all the way into that bubble to not be in the finals. In the East, man, it's crazy because nobody really paying attention to how well Toronto is playing, man. Toronto is playing basketball, and it ain't about the star or the MVP type player. It's straight basketball in Toronto, man. So
true.
It'll be them in Milwaukee in the East Final, but we got to see if the Freak can get past them because Toronto own him. Like LeBron used to own Toronto. Toronto owned Milwaukee. So
what do you think about Ray? What do you think about the fact that Kyle twisted his ankle? I mean, Kyle Lowry's injured.
Yeah, that's big because he that steady veteran point guard. Like, Kyle from Philly. So, the conversations be going around like, is he a Hall of Famer? I'm like, I don't know if he's a Hall of Famer, but he definitely one of them dudes that Toronto should be like one of our best players ever. You know what I mean? Like he's a major factor for them. So if he's not full healthy, it could be difficult for Toronto. But
he got to be a Hall of Famer, Teray. The fact that he played for Toronto, he got a championship.
Not just
and he did it in Toronto.
Right.
Canadian rules got to be a little easier. Come on,
his money all messed up.
Come on, man. We can't hold the Canadian players to the same threshold we hold Americans.
That
to.
man getting 85 cents out of his dollar. You're right.
That's messed up.
Definitely struggling.
That's like Big Country. When Big Country was on the Grizzlies, he was the greatest center ever.
Right.
He played on the Grizzlies.
But look, it's crazy. Shaq said Big Country used to give him the business.
He did. He said he couldn't figure him out.
Right. So hey, we might not see it because it ain't them primetime games. You know what I mean? But yeah.
So Ture, you in Philly, man. What's the local talk about going on about the Sixers in Philly? Are they talking about breaking them up, trading somebody?
Yeah, in Philly right now, we don't care what you do with the Sixers. You can blow it up. At this point right now, we can blow the whole team up, and people will be they don't. Because we haven't won with anything. So to say, oh, well, don't get rid of Ben or don't get rid of Embiid or don't fire Brett. Right now, they could fire Elton Brand. They could trade Embiid. Sixers fans wouldn't be no different. They'd be like, well, let's see what happens. Man, I'm a Sixers fan. I lived through a 9-73 season, 72 season.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm going to tell you what they can't do. With all the black fans y'all got out there, you can't switch Pepsi to Coke.
No,
you can't do that. Try that.
And listen, it don't matter what they do as long as Meek come out and ring the bell. Yeah, them niggas that team ain't do nothing but get Meek out of jail. That's what they did. We can't win no playoffs game, but y'all get a nigga out of jail. That's what the Sixers did. And I don't know why the owner of the Sixers don't realize they got it in for them. Like, you'll never win. You'll never win anything, bro. You use your goodwill on getting that brother out of jail. Like, you ain't you ain't get no championship. No.
Yeah. All right, let me ask you this, man. Because are you watching the Dallas series? You watching the Dallas, battle?
Yeah, man. Yeah, because T know this. T know how it go. And all of y'all guys are 40 plus, and we know how it is in sports. You know what I'm loving? Because of the fact that this is the only sports we got right now, we so hungry, everybody losing it in the first round. Yo, this is the greatest ever. I'm like, this dude just got, remember like last week, Dame Dollar was the greatest.
Yes.
2 games later, they always want the Lakers to win. That's the same team. They don't get no new players.
Yo, COVID is crazy, son.
For real. And so I'm watching the Dallas series heavy because I like to see the Luka. Like, everybody was hype on Luka 2 games ago. Last night, I ain't see not one Luka post. Not one. Niggas was naming their kids Luka 2 days ago.
That blowout was so bad yesterday, Teray. At one point, the camera hit the virtual stand. Luka was in the virtual stand.
Yeah, they put up 154 on it.
It was 125 or something, and the camera hit the fans, and Luka was over there like this, like, dang.
Look, my mom don't watch sports enough to know what's going on. All she knows is basketball or football, right? So she walked by the screen. It was 154 on the screen. She said, I'm going to bed. This is over. They ain't got no like she was watching the game at all. I was like, Mom, what?
Yo, why people be going to bed on the blowouts like they at the game? Like they gonna beat traffic home.
Like they
this over. I'm out.
Yo,
that game was so bad last night, man. It looked like it was a movie script.
Yeah, man.
It really did.
And that's what happens when you beat a team.
I was like, who did this? Spike Lee? This is a Spike Lee joint.
When you beat these teams on them buzzer beaters and they wasn't supposed to win, them niggas be pissed. And it ain't like normal when they go home and they beat their girl. Them dudes is in that dome. So when you go to breakfast in the morning, he's sitting right across the table like, yeah, you like that 40? Like that 45 I gave you last night.
Yeah.
So they got all day. They like, yo, wait till we get on this court tonight, nigga.
Yo,
Disrespecting the man over his oatmeal.
Yeah, I know.
Everybody.
Yo, if I was in that bubble and I just gave you 42 or banged on you,
Yo,
I'm eating your meal. I'm like, yo, I want bacon. Put some more bacon on your plate. Huh?
All right,
Like,
T-Ray.
yo, CO.
T.O., let me ask you, T-Ray, let me ask you a question, man. If you in charge, you GM right now, right? You know, and because this is we play a couple of hypotheticals. You know, if you GM right now, who's the coach you getting who's going to make Embiid lose weight and do some work? Who you going to get? Larry Brown already been there. He ain't coming.
Yeah,
so. He ain't coming.
That's a damn shame. We ran one of the greatest coaches ever out the city. He literally went. Who goes to Detroit, nigga?
Yeah, exactly.
He was like, I'll take anything. Let me. I think Pop, because Pop is just no nonsense. Like, dude, if you don't, Pop won't cut him, of course, because you know you that type of franchise player. But he'll definitely bench him. Pop will definitely have him coming off the bench, like, oh well, and work it out. Like that dude that we got at center, all of a sudden Pop will make him a star. That's normally what happens. Pop be like, he can play, put him in there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
old school.
I think Pop could do it. Mark Jackson, too, just because Mark Jackson knows if he comes back to coach, he got to win. He been talking shit too long for him not to come back and just be mediocre. So I know he would take his team and whip them into shape, mean and low. Y'all got to win because I got to win. But Pop, a first choice, if they could get somebody to be on Embiid's ass, it would be Pop. And Pop wouldn't go for that Simmons not shooting a jump shot either. Pop be like, you don't want to shoot it. I'm going to put somebody in there that will shoot it.
Like, yo, Pop come off like he don't care who you are. Pop make you second guess how much money you making.
Right.
Like Pop talk, you be like, I just signed for 150 million. Get your ass down the court. You be like, yo, this dude don't respect 150 million.
They don't respect
Pop
nothing.
don't care.
Right. So, but that'd be good to see. But I doubt it, man. He's in his older years. He lost his wife in the last year. Pop probably going wrong, you know.
I think Pop, you know what? My gut tell me he gonna make a move too.
Okay.
The fact that Brooklyn's going so hard after him, and
see
that's gonna start all the options, and then he's gonna say, where do his wife got? Where I want to live now?
Yeah, because that Brooklyn deal gonna be generational money. That's gonna be. I'm gonna retire to the sea. What's how you pronounce that? The Seychelles? The Seychelles Islands. I'm out. Yeah, that one.
All right, Ray, I want to ask you one last question before we find out what you're doing and everything else, man. Are we overlooking the Utah-Denver series, man? Because nobody's talking about that series. Those boys are doing work.
They putting in work. That boy Murray.
Yeah.
Woo! He went off last night.
See, a lot of people don't. Is that the Murray that banged on LeBron at Nike camp and Nike and
I think so.
Yeah, and LeBron took the tape. He had the video.
I think so.
So that boy Murray, man, and then you know Spider is doing it. It's a great series to watch because they got a lot of young players and their coaches are letting the game go to them. So if people not watching it, they better start because that's an exciting series. Milwaukee back and forth with Orlando as far as eye pleasure watching the game and saying eye candy is those are some good games. But that Utah Denver, they be getting it on. And the Joker being 6'10" up the top of the key, throwing a dish pass between his legs. You know what I mean? That's basketball. You gotta watch that.
Yeah. All right. So before you roll out of here, tell everybody how they can find you, what you got going on. And I know I see you working, right? I mean, am I mistaken that you working? Like you doing drive-ins and all that stuff? So tell everybody.
We back to work as much as comedians can be, but you know it's easy to find me on social media. My baby mom does it all the time. At Comedy by Ray for everything. Hey, Finn. Yes. You want to talk about somebody child support need to be reformed. Forget the justice system. Yeah. They got to get these child support. Anyway, but Comedy by Ray. I just actually put my website back together, comedybyray.com, because it has my merch on it. So I launched the Black Lives Matter t-shirt, the Life is Funny, Keep Laughing t-shirts. I'm doing that.
Show everybody. Let's see that. Show it.
Oh, that's my joint, my Life is Funny, Keep Laughing rainbow joint.
Okay.
Rainbow is nice for the colors. The women like it, but you gotta watch when you wear it. I'm in Georgia right now, but I ain't leaving the house with this on. I love everybody.
If they buy it, hey, and you leave the house in Georgia, you be like, how much the t-shirt? Well, $30. Like, all right. You be like, let me go in the bag. No, that one. The one you got on.
Take that
I want
off.
it while you got it on.
Yeah.
No, he don't even want me to take it off. He just want me to wear it. I give you $30 to wear it. Stay here.
Oh Lord.
But yeah, man. So I did my t-shirt. I got my merch. Put out an album in June. I'm putting out another album in September. So basically just working where we can. Like I said, we are doing the outdoor events. I partnered up with Live Nation, and we're doing a lot of they have large venues with large parking lots. So what they're doing is turning those parking lots into performance venues with music and comedy. So I'm happy to be a part of that, and just jumping on some of the independent promoters that's been doing their outside thing. So I've been doing that. Headed to Chicago. Damon Wayans and Williams and Riddles is back open. So David Williams is still giving work. But yeah, man, we working where we can. And I just like to say to comedians that's watching or cast that's watching and independently employed, you got to monetize your content. You know, so that's why I've been heavy on putting the albums out and all of that, because that's what you own and that's what you can get some quick money off of to hold you over until things get back to normal.
And speaking of big shows, Teray, that big one we got coming Labor Day on Monday.
At
Citizens Park. Yeah, we over there putting it down.
Look, this is how I talk. This is how I talk and pop fly to them, T. I say, yeah, I'm at Citizens Bank Park. I don't even let them know I'm in the parking lot. You know what I mean? I'm at the Philly Stadium. I'm performing at the Philly Stadium on Labor Day, Monday, September 7th, man.
That's going to be crazy.
That's going to be crazy. It's Capone, Talent, Mike Blackson, myself, Skeet Carter, Javon Pearson, DJ
Javon is back. That's how you know it's going to be crazy.
Javon is back.
Yes.
Hold up, Javon Pearson.
So we don't know how many state police are going to show up, but we know that Javon is back.
Javon is going to be
He beat the charges, people. Yes. He's back.
DJ Jazzy Jeff.
I hear that.
Yeah, Jazzy Jeff is the DJ for the night. His son Corey Towns will be performing, so that's going to be fantastic. Ticketmaster.com, T. That's how you tell them. Because you know everybody hit you up for ticket. Yo, how you get ticket? Ticketmaster.com. Holla at
That's right. That's how you do it. That's how you do it. Support. Oh man, before you leave, I want to say, man, I always love soul comedy. I always a supporter of that, man. I'm sorry it's sorry to hear that. Hopefully you can bring that back one day, right? Is it possible?
Yes, brother. I gotta bring it back because you see how Fig looking at me like I ain't never get down there. So fuck that spot. I can see Fig. I can see you, man. You know I can see you, bro.
Hey, Teray, Fig,
straight like that.
Fig got a soul comedy haircut.
He got the soul comedy backdrop too.
Well,
so we'll be back, man. But thank y'all for all them years of support with Soul Comedy, and thank you to Frank for always. You was the first one to put in the humor mill. They was hating on it, but they said humor mill. I ain't getting the music. Yeah, so thank you.
But thank you. We appreciate you. We know you can follow you on all your social media platforms. We'll be staying in touch. All right. And one final. I forgot. I know the time is running. I forgot. I know you got the Niners, man, and you expecting to hit the Super Bowl before it's all again, or what?
Yeah, I think teams that have been together and well coached and was kind of tight, they're going to be the ones that make a run this year because you ain't got time to figure out new stuff this year. You got to kind of be hitting the ground running because they don't have no preseason. So look for the Niners, look for KC.
I was about to say somebody said an actual repeat this year that is most likely to happen. You agree with that?
I believe so.
Yeah, probably. Thanks again, man. We appreciate you taking care of things.
My king.
I love all y'all. See you.
Yes, sir. Right. Oh man.
So that is one of Philly's finest. That's the comedian. Y'all can catch him. He does a lot of shows with some more, man. That dude is hilarious. If y'all don't know.
Well, he's a jack of all trades. He's a man after my cut from my own cloth. Figure you gotta stop looking at our guests like that.
I'm like, yo, Teray, man, act like you got my number, man.
He said, I gotta start it back up. Look how Fig look.
All right, well, let's keep the show going. We got a few more minutes, man. I didn't even touch on the injuries that came out yesterday. You know what I'm saying? Like Dame Lillard's injuries. I mean, it seemed like we just saw. I don't know about you guys if you had to see the ticket tape, but it seemed like injuries came out. Injury. Dame Lillard got injured, man, and the last game, he's not playing tonight. I think it's a wrap, man. Talent. I think it's a wrap.
Yeah.
What do you think it's a wrap?
Well, I think it's a wrap too. When that came out, that changed everything that I was thinking, because I can't see everyone stepping up collectively to the level it would take to steal his game. I think that I don't even think he's that hurt. I think he's more hurt. His feelings is more hurt. I think he got caught up in when he watched the play call in them last 2 games. I think he's depleted. Like, you know how you could like emotionally and spiritually get depleted. And it's like, you know what, man, I'm not going to blow my heart out and blow my brains out trying to override a system. I think he feel like that, because I don't think the injury is that, substantial. But I agree with you. I think it's a wrap. I would be really surprised if that team without him can go that hard, to even if it's squeak one by 1 or 2. I would be very surprised.
Okay, Fig, what you think?
I'm not sure, but I was listening to something early this morning. If CJ and Melo could really step it up, they make it squeak. Maybe because, and only not because they're that good, although they are good. But I think without Dame in the lineup, I think it's an opportunity for LA to kind of just relax.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could be gotten. If LA relax and them guys is going hard, that's the only chance that I give them. But if LA is going, at full tilt, they ain't got a chance without the dollar man.
No, yeah, I good point. Now another game tonight, man. Looks like it's going to be a Houston game, Houston OKC. So, yeah, the tide is going to turn. I think the series, depending on who wins games tonight. In the NBA, the person usually wins game 5 9 times out of 10. I think they said the stats 9 times out of 10, 8 times out of 10. The person who wins game 5, especially if the series is knotted, wins the entire series. Talon, do you think the person who wins tonight is going to win the series? You think if
I agree with that, Frank. I think that whoever wins tonight gains the momentum mentally and will win the series. I think that whenever it's knotted at 2 and you need that tiebreaker, because remember, this at one point, this first round was a 5-game series. Remember that?
Yeah.
So this would be the winner of a series years back.
Right.
If this was years back, first round, somebody would be winning the series on this game. So I do believe that whoever wins this will eventually, inadvertently win the season.
Right.
Series.
Okay. Fig, what you think?
Yeah, man, I think definitely, game 5, I think they said it's somewhere between 80 to 90% of the time that the person that wins the team that wins game 5 wins the whole thing. You know what? This one is definitely a toss-up because, Chris Paul and OKC, they've been balling out, man. Mm-hmm. And I don't know what's up with Harden. But now here's the thing. If Westbrook come back for this game, I think Houston can get him.
Okay.
If Westbrook,
I wouldn't take that chance. If I'm Houston on an important game, I wouldn't take the chance. I want Westbrook coming because the momentum's already been set at this point. 4 games in, he could be the deciding factor of knocking that off kill. You know what I mean? So that you gotta be very careful with that. Yeah.
So, and Fig, you agree with what he just said?
I don't know, because the last 2 games they got their behind kicked, so they need somebody to change them off. OKC broke their foot off in their behind, so they need somebody to switch up the momentum.
Okay. All right. Well, with that being said, that's the final comment of the show. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
I got one, Frank. I want to get you guys' opinion on real quick.
Okay.
Football political question. How do you guys feel about? I don't know if you've seen Herschel Walker coming out and speaking on behalf of. Okay, I don't need to finish that. How you guys feel about Herschel Walker in the corner of 4-5?
You know what? Let me just jump in and say what I want to say about this. This is what I think. The people who are black who back Trump, this is what I think. I think they care more about green because Donald Trump is, I'm not trying to even go political or everything else, but because I don't want to make this show be about that. But when you see people who defend or want to be on that RNC side, it's about, because Trump is about saving more of your money. That's what it all boils down to. And Herschel Walker got a lot of money. Let's be frank. He got a lot of money. So that's my feeling on it.
It's about green. Got you.
I think Herschel Walker should join a knapsack race. He joined a sack race a three-legged race. That's what he ought to do. He do something. Man, I just can't believe him, man.
Yeah.
I heard that the reason he came out and said that because Kanye was picking him as his vice president running mate.
Y'all leaving us with something to talk about on the next point.
That WW Wesson Walker.
Hey, how
Wesson Walker. How about that? WW.
We got to wrap up the show. Everybody tell everybody out there, tell them how they can find you.
Hey, it's your boy Talent. I'm easy to find. I'm on Twitter at It's Just Comedy. I'm on Instagram at Talent the Comedian. And I'm on Facebook at King Talent Harris. Your boy. We out.
Yeah, you better know your boy Fig is on all social media platforms as Comedian Fig. That's your Twitter. That's your Facebook and your Instagram. Take a picture and put it on Instagram and send it to me, and I'll sign it for you.
Okay, all right. You hear that? Anyway, make sure you download the Humor app if you're watching this on social media platform. Make sure you follow us. Make sure you even try to find us on your cable system. Call your cable provider too, because we up on that there too. So with that being said, we'll be back tomorrow, 1 o'clock. We got a special guest. I want to say his name so bad because until I confirm it, we can't do that, right? Ain't that right, fellas? We can't do that.
That's right. It's all about legal stuff, man.
Yeah,
it's all about legal ramifications.
Yeah, there it is. Y'all hang on. We'll be back. We'll see y'all tomorrow. This
on
is
the box seat.
There it is.